a troubled beginning. Hitler's formative years were marked by a series of significant events and influences that would shape his future. Adolf Hitler was born in the small town of Brunau am Inn, Austria, in 1889. His early environment was a mix of strict discipline and familial tension. His father, Alois, was a stern and often harsh figure, while his mother, Clara, was more nurturing. Despite this, young Adolf faced numerous family conflicts and academic struggles, which left a lasting impact on him. From a young age, Hitler harbored dreams of becoming an artist. He spent countless hours sketching and painting, hoping to one day gain recognition for his work. However, his aspirations were crushed when he was rejected twice by the prestigious Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. This rejection was a significant blow to his self-esteem and ambitions. The rejection letters fueled his resentment and bitterness, shaping his worldview in a profound way. He began to see the world through a lens of hostility and frustration. During his time in Vienna, Hitler was exposed to intense German nationalism and pervasive anti-Semitism. These ideologies were rampant in the city and left a deep impression on him. The social and political climate of Vienna, with its fervent nationalist and anti-Semitic sentiments, deeply affected Hitler. He absorbed these toxic ideologies, which began to shape his thoughts and beliefs. These early experiences, coupled with his personal failures and disappointments, sowed the seeds of his radical ideology. He started to immerse himself in extremist literature and political pamphlets. Hitler's early life was crucial in shaping the man he would become. The combination of personal setbacks, exposure to extremist ideologies, and a yearning for belonging created a volatile mix. The confluence of these factors created a breeding ground for his future ambitions. His desire for recognition and power grew stronger, fueled by the ideologies he had embraced. These formative years set the stage for one of history's darkest chapters. The young man, once filled with artistic dreams, was now on a path that would lead to unprecedented destruction and horror. The seeds of hatred and discontent were sown long before the first shots were fired. World War I and its aftermath left a scar on the world that would take decades to heal. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 had a profound impact on many, including a young Adolf Hitler. He eagerly volunteered for the German army, driven by a fervent sense of nationalism and a desire to prove his worth. Serving as a dispatch runner on the Western Front, Hitler experienced the brutal realities of war firsthand. These wartime experiences not only intensified his nationalism but also deepened his anti-Semitic beliefs, which would later become central to his ideology. The Treaty of Versailles, which officially ended the war in 1919, deeply angered Hitler and many other Germans. They saw it as a national humiliation, a betrayal that left Germany weakened and vulnerable. The treaty's harsh terms, including significant territorial losses and crippling reparations, fueled a burning desire for revenge and retribution. This resentment and anger became the cornerstone of Hitler's political platform as he promised to restore Germany's former glory. Germany's defeat in the war, coupled with the subsequent economic turmoil, created an atmosphere of disillusionment and anger among the German populace. Hitler capitalized on this widespread discontent, blaming the Jews, communists, and other groups for Germany's misfortunes and presenting himself as the savior who could lead them out of despair. His fiery rhetoric and promises of a better future resonated with many Germans who were desperate for a scapegoat and a leader to follow. Hitler's rise in the Nazi Party was marked by his ability to captivate and manipulate the masses. In 1919, Hitler joined the German Workers' Party, a small and insignificant group at the time. This party, which would later become the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or Nazi Party, was initially just a fringe political group with little influence. He quickly rose through the ranks, captivating audiences with his fiery speeches. His oratory skills were unmatched, and he had a unique ability to tap into the emotions of his listeners, making them feel heard and understood. Hitler possessed a natural charisma that drew people to him. His intense gaze and passionate delivery made him a magnetic figure, someone who could command attention and inspire loyalty. Hitler's speeches were filled with nationalistic fervor, promises of restoring German glory, and venomous attacks on perceived enemies. He painted a picture of a strong, unified Germany, free from the shackles of the Treaty of Versailles and the influence of foreign powers. He skillfully exploited the anxieties and grievances of the German people. The economic hardships and political instability of the Weimar Republic created a fertile ground for his message. His message of hate and division resonated in a society grappling with economic hardship and political instability. The German people, desperate for change and a sense of direction, found solace in his promises of a better future. Hitler's rise within the Nazi Party was meteoric. His ability to galvanize support and unify the party under his vision was unparalleled. In 1921, he became the party's chairman, consolidating his power and setting the stage for his eventual takeover of Germany. This position allowed him to shape the party's ideology and strategy, making it a formidable force in German politics. His ability to tap into the darkest impulses of a nation reeling from defeat and humiliation proved a potent force. The combination of his charismatic leadership and the dire circumstances of post-World War I Germany created a perfect storm for his rise to power. The Nazi grip tightens consolidation of power and the Third Reich. The early 1930s witnessed the Nazi Party's meteoric rise in popularity. Exploiting political instability and public discontent, the Nazis became the largest party in the Reichstag in 1932. Hitler's ambition knew no bounds. In 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. He swiftly moved to consolidate his power. The Enabling Act of 1933 effectively granted Hitler dictatorial powers, dismantling the Weimar Republic and ushering in the Third Reich. Hitler's regime quickly moved to suppress opposition. Political opponents were imprisoned or murdered. Trade unions were abolished. Freedom of the press was curtailed. Germany was transformed into a totalitarian state. Joseph Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda, played a central role in shaping public opinion. He used radio, film and print media to spread Nazi ideology and glorify Hitler. The Nazis implemented a systematic campaign of persecution against Jews and other minority groups. The Nuremberg Laws of 1935 stripped Jews of their citizenship and rights. This marked a turning point, paving the way for the horrors of the Holocaust. The Nazis used propaganda to create a climate of fear and hatred. Jews were scapegoated for Germany's problems. Anti-Semitic stereotypes were perpetuated through posters, films and textbooks. This relentless campaign of dehumanization made it easier for ordinary Germans to accept the persecution of their Jewish neighbors. Hitler's expansionist ambitions. Driven by his belief in German superiority, Hitler embarked on a path of territorial expansion. He aimed to create a vast German empire in Eastern Europe. Hitler's foreign policy was based on aggression and a disregard for international law. In 1938, Germany annexed Austria in the Anschluss. This bloodless takeover marked the beginning of Hitler's expansionist ambitions. The international community, fearing another war, adopted a policy of appeasement towards Hitler. Hitler's demands for the Sudetenland, a German-speaking region of Czechoslovakia, led to the Munich Agreement in 1938. Britain and France, eager to avoid war, ceded the Sudetenland to Germany. This act of appeasement only emboldened Hitler. On the 1st of September 1939, Germany invaded Poland, marking the beginning of World War II. Britain and France, honoring their commitments to Poland, declared war on Germany. The world watched in horror as Europe descended into another devastating conflict. The early years of the war saw a string of German victories. Using blitzkrieg tactics, German forces conquered Poland, Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium and France. Hitler's gamble appeared to be paying off. However, the tide began to turn in 1941. The German invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941 proved to be a costly blunder. The vastness of the Soviet Union and the fierce resistance of the Red Army drained German resources. The United States into the war in December 1941 following the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor proved decisive. The tide of war turned definitively against Germany. The Allied forces launched offensives on multiple fronts, pushing back the Germans. By 1945, Germany was on the verge of collapse. The Red Army was closing in on Berlin. The Allied bombing campaign had reduced German cities to rubble. Hitler's dreams of a 1,000-year Reich lay in ruins. As Soviet troops entered Berlin in April 1945, Hitler retreated to his underground bunker. With defeat imminent, he committed suicide on the 30th of April, 1945. The Nazi regime, which had terrorized Europe for 12 long years, finally came to an end. The aftermath of World War II revealed the full horror of the Holocaust. The Nazis systematically murdered 6 million Jews and millions of others deemed undesirable. The genocide stands as a stark reminder of the dangers of hatred, prejudice, and unchecked power. The Nuremberg trials held after the war brought Nazi leaders to justice for their crimes. The trials established the principle of individual accountability for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Hitler's legacy is one of unparalleled destruction and human suffering. His name remains synonymous with tyranny, genocide, and the horrors of war. The lessons of the Nazi era serve as a chilling reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of vigilance against all forms of intolerance and discrimination.